Hello, guys, and welcome to this special webinar. Right, this is the last one of our series on the visibility verdict, and here we're going to talk about why should a $5,000 per month coach actually charge for a signature offer without freezing at the number. If you'll be following the entire series, congratulations! I'm happy myself. I hope you're also happy and you've been blessed by everything we shared so far. All right, so what are we going to talk about in this very webinar? So this is for the coach who genuinely have strong results, who still freezes at their own price, right? So you're already making some money, $5,000 a month, maybe a 10K, maybe 50K a month, right? But then you still freeze at your numbers, right? At the prices that you want to ask the market to pay you. Right, and it's an occurring problem, right? As we call it, that's an occurring problem. But we go deeper into what does it mean when we talk about occurring problem. So you freeze at your own price, not because you can't calculate value, but because the number feels arbitrary, right? So you've anchored your price to what other coaches charge, right? Not to what you actually deliver. And another thing too is that you have one flat price. So every prospect either pays in full or negotiate the only number down. There are many coaches like that, and it may be you, right? Just one price, and it seems like is a go or a no go, right? But it could be done differently. And then your free content genuinely solve problems, and your case studies show real and measurable results. So why then should it be limited by your offer? All right, so how are we going to solve this particular offer-related problem? The first thing we're going to do is that we are going to look at why you are leaving real money on the table at your current price. Two, why benchmarking your price against other coaches is costing you. Three, we're going to look at the investment ladder, right? The framework that we develop at the Growth Masters Consult. And that allows us to match price to your depth, right? Not what the market is saying. And then four, we're going to audit what your current price is accurately benchmarked against. Right, the accurate way to go about your pricing. And then five, we're going to show you exactly how one consultant raise revenue per client without losing booking, right? Sometimes you need to just see it, how it works. And then in six, we're going to look at why charging what you're actually worth feels impossible, right? So people know what they are worth, people know what they are supposed to be anchor their prices on, but why are they still not doing that? And then last but one, seven, we're going to look at the quarterly price review that keeps you from undercharging again. So we don't just want to solve the problem once or maybe for 3 months or for a year, but what could you include in your daily routine, your weekly routine, your monthly routine, your quarterly routine that will make sure that your business is always going the right direction. And then eight, so what should you actually charge, right? So here's the real number. All right, so here's part one, why you are leaving real money on the table at your current price as a coach or consultant. This is part of a webinar on dealing with price limitations for coaches and consultants. If you are just watching this, make sure you do watch other videos in this webinar or watch the entire webinar altogether. So you've already produced the proof a price should be anchored to, right? But this is actually what's happening. So a coach whose free content genuinely solve problems to their core, whose case studies show results, has already produced the proof a price should be anchored to, and then benchmarks against something shallower instead. So what we are trying to say here is that if you actually do have results, if you showed expertise, if you have real transformation stories, these are actually the things you're supposed to anchor your price on, not what the market is saying. It should be the main thing. But sometimes, right, because of there's a lot that goes into that. Because of so many reasons, you do think or you do happen to think that, okay, this is what the market says I should be paid at, this is what the market pays people that deliver this type of services. So maybe I should also be paid that way. But that's not actually the case. So what's actually the source, right? So benchmarking against a shallower competitor offer. That's what I was saying. Instead of against demonstrated depth, is almost always the real source of underpricing, not the market's actual capacity to pay. So the real error, the real thing that actually happened is you looking at always what your competitors are doing. One particular competitor that seems to be doing so well apparently in your eyes, right? Which may not always be true. That's what you look at most of the time. And what this whole thing is about is to also tell you that the market can actually pay you what you want. However big it is, there are people you may not believe it in your market that are making the type of money you are scared of charging. And they may not be as big or experienced as you are, right? But they just know exactly what to anchor their prices on. So a few things that you want to observe practically or how this whole thing works. So here we have two coaches. They have the same depth, right? But two of them take different decisions based on their depth or based on their expertise. The first coach anchors his pricing on competitors or what the market is charging for what he's offering. Or the first consultant does that. So that's just what everyone here, charge. That's what they're saying there. So what happens is that they are capped. They are capped at whatever the market has been charging forever and ever, whatever the market charge in this particular time in their services. So they are not able to earn more or being paid more. And then the other thing that also happens is being anchored to depth, right? So this is what we want you to do. Like when your pricing is based on like your level of intensity or level of depth in the market. So what happens is that the price is against demonstrated results of proof. And what it allows to do, because of the depth of your experience or the depth of your results, right? You are not, you have different layers. So those layers of objections or those layers of abilities or results, right, allow you to actually have a ladder, right? And we look at it in a more practical way throughout the webinar. But you just move from this idea of being stopped at one particular price level to you now having like multiple options based on the psychology of the market and also based on your depth in the market as well. So let's look at it more practically. So before you change your price, find your actual anchor. So I'm going to help you find that anchor, what you can put your pricing on, what you can comfortably work with and go like, okay, I'm going to be charging this X, Y, Z, and this is why I'm doing that. Right? So the first thing you want to do is I want to write down your current price, you want to write down what your current price is benchmarked against. So as you are there now, right, with everything that you've done with your business so far, everything that you've done with your business so far, right? What have you really anchored your price on? Is it a competitor? Is it the marketplace average? Or is it your own, right, demonstrated depth, right? A sincere, how do you call it? Assessment of what you've done so far. And then two, pull up your strong case study or client results. So what has been the strongest or the biggest thing like a client has done or that you've done for a client so far, right? And the type of results that came out of it, the value. Here we are talking about a monetary value. How much value was unlocked for the client, right? So then number three, this is where we want to ask to be really open. So notice the gap between the two, what you are charging currently and then what you actually created as value for your biggest or your stronger case. Right? The gap is roughly the money currently left on the table. So that's what you are missing out. By you not charging the right way, this is what you are missing out. Are we saying that all of a sudden people are going to pay you millions of dollars? Not really. Right? But you are going to pay based on that fraction of what the value that you've been creating. So if you already created this particular level of value, what makes you think that there are no people out there who can actually pay you, the right type of money to create again that kind of value? And you actually have evidence that you've actually created that for value. So that's the whole point of our argument over here. So part two, we're going to look at some key reasons. So why benchmarking your price against other coaches or consultants is costing you? So that's just what everyone around here charges. That's what's going on in the mind of the coach who has been benchmarking his offer wrongly, right? So a different offer entirely. So competitors or the marketplace pricing usually reflects a shallower offer delivered with less depth and fewer proven results, not a ceiling of on what is yours. So what's actually happening is that you just realize that the person that you have over there is just not a reflection of who you are, what you can actually do. So what has actually been happening is that you've just been benchmarking yourself wrongly in the market and based on what people actually charge average over there. Right? So there will need to be some changes. There will need to be some changes. So we're going to look at a single flat price, right? The fact that a single flat price also forces an all or nothing decision. So the to how to tell that you're actually in that trap. So what do we mean by all or nothing decision? So a lot of people come to you and you have a single price, is either they pay for what you are willing to, what you say you want to charge, right? Or they pay for that, or they are not paying at all, All the third option, they just keep on negotiating, trying to bring it down, try to bring it down, try to bring it down. But we have something different. We have something different. So what could you do to actually fix it? So it's all about incurring that number to demonstrated depth and replacing it with a ladder of tiers. So objections have somewhere to learn beside the discount. So people have different levels of objections, right? Or price movement in they know why they don't want to pay the money that you are paying. Is it for definitely objections that are like working in their mind? So different level of objections. Some objections are maybe let's say on the scale of 1 to 10, some objections are level 2 in terms of gravity or importance. Some other ones are level 8. Some other ones are level 10. So if you have just one price for people who are different level of objection or different level of limitation towards, I mean, in regards to what you are worth in the market, you are not giving people room, right, to be seated comfortably somewhere. So you look at it, how exactly you should lay out the price in such a way that everybody, based on their level of limitation, the level of beliefs, right, towards what you can do, right, they can actually sit on different levels in the market. All right. So how do you apply that? So stop comparing yourself to the wrong offer. So the first thing you want to do is I want to pause any plan to match a competitor's rate. Maybe and this is the thing, maybe you're even charging high, right? Quite high. And you may not have gotten customers, you may not have gotten bookings or, I mean, consulting clients or coaching clients. And you may feel like you are doing something wrong or you are not really you are pricing too high. And you've looked at a certain competitor who is apparently charging way less. And it seems like they're getting bookings, right? So you are going like, okay, maybe I need to reduce my price. Maybe what I've been charging is just ridiculous and I'm not as good as I think. I mean, who am I? Who am I? Others are charging this and that and I'm doing this. And what I've come to observe is that for the coaches or consultants that are very, very convicted about what they charge and their value in the market, they will rather move to a certain price level, right? Stay there regardless of how hard things are or how slow things are, and then let the rest of the market join them. Sorry for any background noise, but I just have to get this done over here. All right. So they just have to join the market, the rest of the market just have to join them. And you will not really see the value of it until like maybe it's later in a certain meeting or a certain encounter with other coaches that they go like, oh, but I mean, you seem to have your price so high and we are charging this low, and then it seems like you are now making more money than us, and we're not making so much money. And then that's why you are both to tell them that okay, I actually saw your prices, I actually saw what the market was charging, but I just decided that I'm not going to go with that same pricing. So that shows a different level of confidence. That shows like that's leadership. So this strategy is supposed to make you a market leader and not a leader out of thin air or just bravado or pure ego or no. You have the results. You know what you can do. You can deliver, and then you just want the market to pay you based on what you are worth. And that's not so hard. I mean, it's not a hard thing. We're not asking for the moon, right? We just want the market to pay you for what you are worth. And then two, list the specific proof your price should be anchored to. So you want to write down case studies, right? Things that you've done in the past, how you've actually applied your knowledge, the measurable results that you created, and then the framework tested across clients. So there you are now, what you're writing down is that you are writing to yourself is a personal manifesto of why you're actually worth what you say you are worth and why you should stick to those prices. But while at the same time as well, giving room to people who will not agree with how much you are worth in the market. So the third thing is you want to do in this assessment, right? A very sincere one is to hold that list to your current next to your current price. So before you move to the framework that we introduced, you want to look at that list, right? The things that you just listed, there, the case studies, the measurable results, right? And then the framework that you use across clients. You want to hold it by your current price. All right. So part three, the investment ladder. So why your price should match your depth and not the market. So here you have many things that I mean you clearly see, right? You see clearly what we are talking about here and how you can actually like develop your own strategy. If this is part of a webinar series and you just want to make sure that you're watching other episode or other part of this webinar or just watching the whole webinar together. All right. So the investment ladder. I'm going to spend time explaining this in clearly, but we're just showing you what it looks like. So we have here, just want to hide this. You have here three tiers, right? Anchored to death and not on the all or nothing number. So those days of all or nothing numbers have to go away and give room to these three tiers. And we'll tell you exactly how those tiers are being arranged. So tier number one, entry offer. So this is an accessible way in. It absorbs hesitation and objection. Keyword here is absorption, right? If you think about it that way, that, oh, as for the objections in your market about your price, they will come. People will think whatever they want to think. But can you build a system that will allow you to still sell despite their, objections, right? That's why you build a system that absorb the objections, right? And any form of hesitation. So the entry offer does that. It absorbs any level of, so you look at basically if somebody, is the most hesitant or at the lowest level of hesitation or with the highest level of objections, what is the least amount that they will willing to spend on me or to spend on my products or my service for what I'm offering? And they will be comfortable with that. They will still have the objection, but they know that okay, they need this thing, they're willing to pay this type of money. So you definitely, when you look at your ICP and how much you usually make monthly or yearly or whatever it is, you can have a number. You can have a number. Okay, if the one who doesn't believe me at all, who doesn't believe me that much, who is so skeptical, right? How much will he be willing to just, I mean, we can use the word like waste or like throw or just like try it on me, right? How much will you be willing to try on me, right? To just have an experience of me. So it's an entry level thing. It's not supposed to be expensive. As you can see, is a ladder, is a progressive thing. Tier two, the signature package. So this is the primary offer, and most prospects self-select here. So, as much you're having this one because you have quite a number of people that have the strongest objection. But if your product is genuinely good and helps people, most of them will be in the middle in terms of believing in you and not believing in you that much, right? So they'll be in that middle. Most people, the largest number of people will be in that middle. Unless you are really new with no proof, with fishy stuff, right? Things are hard to believe, nothing illegal, not anything illegal, but like very, very hard to believe. That's why you have most of your target audience or most of your ICP just going for this particular thing. Because most people just don't believe you. They don't believe you. They don't believe your expertise. They cannot see any proof or results. They cannot see anything. That's what makes them land in mass numbers over here. That's what we shall like. But most of the time, you will be in the if you actually have proofs and expertise, you even be in the you have a lot more people, right, believing in you, believing what you can do, right, and just a few of them having doubts. The doubters will still be there because of many reasons that don't even have anything to do with you. So most people will rather embrace the signature package. They will embrace it, right? And then here you have the top tier offer. You must have something like that. You must believe that somebody will come to your business and like really go all in on you, even after the first encounter, right? Without having done business with you, go all in on you. So tier number three, top tier offer, right? So for the most invested clients, price at full depth. So it's based on like what you can try to deliver. So you remember that biggest delivery that you did, that biggest value creation that you did in the past, right? These are the clients that are willing to pay you for this particular, for the fullness of your capacity, the fullness of your ability. And these are the clients that everybody wants. That kind of everybody. But as much as we want those clients, we must give room for all other ones. Somebody's first order may start at entry level, right? And then later they go for the signature package. And some few months later, you see them at the top tier offer. So not everybody that pays here is actually broke or doesn't have a future with you. but you must give them room to start a journey with you. I think that's really the best way you want to look at it. Giving everybody in your marketplace, right, room to start a journey with you. All right. So part one anchors to dev, not competitors. So it genuinely, just quickly going over it again. So a genuinely solve to the core free asset is proof of real dev, and that proof is what justifies the real price for the personalized version, not the competitor's number. And then the second thing you want to consider here is that use a ladder, not just one number. So at least three price points remove the all or nothing negotiation. So a prospect who can't yet justify the top tier still has somewhere to land rather than walking away. So most coaches just want the top tier. But then the prospect who doesn't believe yet that you are worth that type of money doesn't have to walk away. There's room for him to learn. And that's just the beauty of that. So this is deliberately the final chapter, right, of this entire series. Not the least important one. That's what we want to understand. So why pricing comes last? So a price increase built on top of a genuinely functioning visibility, asset, conversion, delivery system is far more durable than one attempted in isolation, right? Before the rest of the system is in place. So the other part of the system has been put in place. So many amazing things have been seen. We dealt with the authority, we dealt with the dilution effect, we dealt with many wrong, right, conceptions when it comes to visibility that hinders people from actually making the most out of visibility online. And after doing that, it's most obvious that you should put your price at the right level and give room to people to do business with you, right? To start a journey with you. That's the whole thing. I think you want to look at it as well like any friendship or any relationship at all in life. The first day or the first weeks of meeting someone, rarely do you tell them all your secrets. Rarely do you tell them like your biggest thing or the things that you hold so dear to yourself, right? So the price things are not usually put up front. So the most prized things are usually not put up front. You put the things that you value the most in this whole journey later down the line, right? To when trust has been built, when the walls or the limitations or the barriers to a deeper fellowship have been built. All right. So the investment ladder again at a glance. So if you have an entry price on entry tier. So this is accessible, this absorb, hesitation, right? And then we have the signature, the primary offer. Most self-select here, right? This is what most people do. If most people actually do that. So what you actually think is a fair thing, right? Based on your expertise and your depth, should actually be the signature offer. What people will be, it will be a risk and also not a risk. Comfortable. And the top tier is like they are going all on you. They believe you are they are willing to watch the value that you created in the past, right? How much of it, for example, if you created $1 million in value, it is fair and sensible for you to have a package that somebody can pay $100,000 for, 10% of it. So anywhere 5% to 15% of it, 20% of it is still justifiable for somebody who has created $1 million in offer in value. So that's the kind of picture you want to have. And if you have the proof of that, people will be willing to come for you. Right. So part four, right? So yeah, we're going to run an audit. So you want to audit what your current price is actually benchmark against. So what's your current price being benchmarked against? Right. And you start with just one question. That's one question. So let's go at it. So this audit works because it names the anchor you never chose consciously. So what is it? So a single honest sentence. My price was set by looking at that, and then you put it over there. So writing it down usually reveals the anchor immediately without needing any further analysis. So you do have an anchor over here. You do have you've had an anchor, right? Anybody who has a price over there, whether they know or not, they decide on that price based on something. So you want to really look at it and what have you exactly used to decide that price? And then this is an assessment. This is a sincere one, right? To help you really understand what's happening. And then the common failure mode. So assuming the price reflects your depth because it feels about right, right? So you feel like, okay, this is good, this is fine, I mean, I think this is fair price, right? So feeling right and being anchored to demonstrated results are not the same thing. That's what you really want to understand. So you feel right about it, it's exciting, it's really important, but it still doesn't mean, right, that's it is the right price to charge. So reflection sheet to help you go through all this, right? So first thing you want to look at, and you want to answer this honestly. So what is my current price actually benchmark against? Is it a competitor? Is it the marketplace or my own demonstrated depth? So two, do I have more than one price point? Or is every prospect negotiating against a single number? So you want to have more than one price point, but at this moment you want to really answer this question to know where you are. And then three, when did I last raise my price based on results delivered rather than how confident I felt? So was there a time when you look at what this is what I did, this is what I produced, my client came, my consulting client came, right? They were making X amount of money, they work with me, they're not making 3x, 4x. Great, let me increase my price. When was the last time you did something like that? And then four, what will an accessible entry tier look like for my specific offer? You will want to answer those questions. And then five, what will a genuinely top tier version of my offer include that my current offer doesn't? So that's like a sincere look at like when you look at the top tier version of your offer and then what could look like and what you're actually charging for your current offer, you really want to ask yourself what could be changed, right? What could be changed? All right, so let's look at a practical case. So part five, how one consultant raise revenue per client without losing a single booking. How did it happen? So a consultant charging one flat rate regularly negotiated down despite consistently strong client results. So until the latter replaced a single number. Right. So how does that work? So the consultant moved from charging one rate to having the three tiers. So the three tiers are there. What you ended up seeing is that there are fewer objections, moving from a lot of objections to fewer objections, and then there's a higher revenue per client. That's a key number. Higher revenue per client. So three tiers replace the one flat client, one flat rate, then increasing revenue per client again, and then the price objection reduced completely. Sometimes I think we do see it as normal for people to kind of want to negotiate our prices and me, I personally don't like negotiating that much, right? Particularly my prices, because the price is supposed to be a reflection of, if you're a coach and consultant in particular, somebody who teaches, your price is actually a reflection of your direct value. It's different than a product seller. A product seller, maybe if I'm selling a mobile phone and we're negotiating the price of a mobile phone, that's fine. That's a mobile phone. That's not me. But when it comes to my skills, my experience, and the things that I've done and it's being negotiated, I don't know. That feels some way. That feels weird for me. So it's better to give people room. Those who believe the least on you should pay the cheapest. And those who believe the most on you should pay the cheapest and have the least amount of value delivered to them. Right? And then those who believe the most in you should pay the highest and then and also have the highest amount of value delivered to them. That's how we want to look at that. All right, so what actually changed for this particular coach practically? So price structure before it was one flat rate for every engagement, be it I mean, and then after what was happening? After they had the three tiers, the entry level, right? Different level of pricing that could be applied in the market. All right, price structure before it was one flat rate for every engagement. Okay, with the price anchor now, so it was a handful of comparable consultants, right? So that's what you're looking at. Okay, maybe there are 1,000 consultants in your market, and you just look at 10 or 15 of them that were the most visible, the most reachable around you to do your pricing, and that could be so deceiving. In fact, it's a worst thing to do. Worst thing to do, truly. All right, and then after. Then demonstrated depth of results. That's what started happening. So you started incurring now your price on the type of results that you demonstrated, right? The depth of them, and things turn around. And then negotiation pattern. So negotiated down. Used before it used to be negotiated down more often than not. So every time you say I'm charging 10K, they go like, no, 10K is too much, it has to be 8K. In fact, the last time we paid was 7K. Right? It becomes a funny conversation. And then after, most self-selects into signature, no negotiation. That's the unfortunate part here. So there's no negotiation, there's no real like discussion being done around the whole price and everything. And right now, what ended up happening is that there are people who have different packages or different tiers, and they just go into them directly. And then the sales conversation, it used to be a longer one, and then a more adversarial, like it was a fight. Oh, you are worth this. No, I am worth this. No, I will pay you this. No, I can't accept it. Ah, you didn't get into business to fight, right? You got in there to impact people. So you must give room. You must give room to everybody. Even if you draw the low tier offer and it seems that people don't want to go for it, I don't think you should even try to reduce the low ticket price, because if they're not able to go into that, it means that they're not, you don't even want them as business partners, because if you reduce it down to them, the discussions or the temperament and the energy and the flow, the conversation during the whole project is just going to be so hectic for you. It's going to be so hectic for you. So, and you will not want that. So the price actually protects your sanity. The three tiers protect your sanity. Those who represent much more of your revenue, who you seem to do a lot for, are those who believe in you the most and are willing to like give you ample time to do your work. And that means a lot. I like to work in peace, right? And then after, what ended up happening is that the sales conversations now become shorter, and a legitimate lower option always existed. Great, great, great. So what can this coach say? Right? Said sales conversation became noticeably shorter and less adversarial. Right? Once a visible legitimate lower cost option existed. So who were those frustrating your sale conversation the most? Those who believe in you the least and who also deserve the least amount of value from you. So now you have a package where they can just go in directly and you know what to expect as well from them, and you know what you want to deliver as well. But then your goal is to over deliver when you work with them. Don't like over deliver in such a way that like they regret or they do regret doubting you, or they do regret not giving you more money at the start. That's really the right mindset towards it. All right, so persist. Why changing what you are what why charging what you are worth feels impossible, and what's actually stopping you? Right. So knowing that you are underpriced and actually raising that number are two different things. So some of you are going to know the right thing to do right now, but you still go like, I mean, this is too expensive. I can't charge this and that. And still give yourself like many reasons why you don't deserve or you should not do those. Have a three-tier package, right? So first thing that you may come into your mind is the fear of pricing objections, right? Of feeling like an imposter. That's the number one. Like feeling like I don't deserve this. I am not this person. I am not that guy. So what does it look like? So raising prices can trigger a fear of rejection or a private sense of not yet deserving the new number. Counter tactic. So objections drop sharply when a lower entry tier exists to point to. That's the first thing that happens. Objection will drop if there's a lower tier. And then the ladder itself absorbs resistance, right? That a single price used to have to carry out alone. So the single price was doing a lot, trying to deal with every type of customer. But now that you have the lower price option, I mean, anybody who would think that you are not worth that type of money, who will make you feel like an imposter, know what they should pay. But those who think you are worth that type of money to have what they should pay as well. And then the second objection too is thinking that, I mean, want a cheap tier, just train people to buy the cheapest option. And this is what it looks like. So there's a common fear that offering an accessible entry tier will pull every prospect towards the lowest price point available. But then in practice, most prospects self-select into the signature tier. Genuinely, and I spoke about that already. Not the entry tier. Its main function is absorbing hesitation, not becoming the default choice. So that's what you see. If you're actually good at your service, if you are not lying to people, you don't have a bad past, and you actually have a proof that you can do what you say you can do, most of the people that you actually reach will find themselves going for the signature offer. That's what usually happens. That's what usually happens. All right. So the what if, right? And these are honest exceptions. Somebody can go like, okay, what if my market genuinely can't support a higher price? So that's worth testing directly against your own demonstrated depth, not assume from a competitor's number. So the ladder lets you test upward without abandoning existing clients. So maybe you've seen that in your market, people who have never really charged that type of price, and those who ever charge it, they ended up coming back and changing it. And it may be like, okay, maybe my market is not, it doesn't want at all higher prices, right? But what you want to do is that you actually want to, I mean, try it on your own pricing, on your own experience, and not really just wait for. Maybe it didn't work for them. That's what I'm trying. Maybe it didn't work for them, but for you, it's going to work. It's going to be a way better experience. And then the what if I raise my price and lose current clients? Genuine objection, genuine concern. So a price change typically applies to new engagements going forward. That so it's not those who are in your already existing clients don't have to take the new prices now. Maybe their packages should end and then you give them some time and then you move them to the new pricing. But it doesn't have to be immediate. And then what if my entry tier ends up thin and unconvincing? So scope it as genuinely complete offer at that level, not a hollow or out teaser, a weak entry tier, damages trust in the whole ladder. Very unfortunate. So part 7, the quarterly price review that keeps you from undercharging again. So we're having this because somebody can do well in charging the right, having the tiers for a quarter, for two, for 3 months, 7 months, and then go back to the usual market price, their usual way of pricing, right? For one reason or the other. But then there could be an activity that will be included in your schedule every quarter to change that. So review pricing once a quarter. First thing is you want to review your pricing once a quarter, tied to results delivered. So pricing tied to results delivered. That's what to review every quarter. So not to how confident the number feels in the moment. All right, that's it. And then let each year stay a genuinely complete offer. So each share should actually remain like a complete offer. Like it should actually offer like fully what it's supposed to offer at that particular level. So never hollow out a tier just to push people towards the next one up. So don't try to be deceptive with the tiers. That's what I'm trying to say here. All right, part 8. So what should we actually change? All right, what should I actually charge? And here's the real number and why. So you stop asking what the market will bear and start asking what your actual depth. So you stop asking what the market will bear and start asking what your actual depth has already earned, right? What it has already earned. So anchoring to demonstrated depth, right, and replacing one flat number with a ladder is what actually resolve the freeze. So here we come to the end of this webinar. So you already know what your depth is worth. Let's build your ladder together. So if you need assistance, you would like to hear our thoughts personally towards your business on your pricing, you can book a free 15-minute consulting or discovery call with us. And we would like to hear from you, right? We'd like to hear from you. All right. So here we come to the end. So in this whole entire webinar series, this visibility verdict is complete. The first webinar will look at the authority gap. Second webinar, we'll look at the dilution effect. Third webinar, we'll look at the ownership ladder. Fourth webinar, belief bridge. Fifth webinar, the pipeline lag. Sixth webinar, the blueprint loop. Seventh webinar, the capacity ceiling. And then in this last one, we'll look at the investment ladder. So every framework in this series now connects into one operating system. Visibility, asset, conversion, pipeline structure, capacity, and then price. So here you have something that will help you, right, in the long journey, not have the wrong conceptions around visibility. that was the whole point of this webinar. Doing so much to be visible, but then missing some few things. So these are the things that we're helping you solve in this series. So thank you once again. Do make sure that you subscribe, you share this video, this entire course, right? If you put together as a course, send it to a coach out there and let them also be a part of this entire journey and really like enjoy and grow their business as well. Thank you once again. We look forward to having a closer relationship with you. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.